Welcome, eclectic crew, to the Lava Isopod video. First things first, I apologize for Henley the parrot. If you hear her in the background, she's going crazy today. But this was a fun build. I love these little guys, and we're going to get started. Okay, guys. So, I have this old tarantula cribs enclosure. It's real dirty. I'm going to clean it. But I'm going to put my new friends here, my lava isopods, into this enclosure. The reason why it's actually perfect, and believe me, you know, I can't get any more spiders. Like I said in my live video last time, I promised my wife I wouldn't, and I won't. So I have this old enclosure here, and it's got all of these ventilation holes, which for lava isopods is a good thing. They don't want high humidity. They might want a corner where there's sphagnum moss and the ability to choose to find a wet spot. So I will spray it, you know, probably every 2 or 3 days and make sure that spot is damp. But the overall enclosure should be devoid of high humidity. We're looking for mid to maybe high mid humidity for these guys. So let's get started. All right. So I had to clean it. This tank housed a tarantula once upon a time, and then it sat around for a year and just acquired dirt and mud. And I sped through this just so you can see, and I cut a lot out, but it took a while to clean it. But once it was nice and clean, you know, it was ready to go, like always. The tarantula cribs enclosures, by the way, are really great. They are my tarantula enclosure of choice in case you have spiders. I would highly recommend their enclosures. Now, I cut the screen to fit. Definitely want a false bottom, despite the fact that I said that it's not going to be a high humidity enclosure, which means the false bottom will probably never see any moisture. But this is the kind of thing where you want to be safe than sorry. I don't want to get the bugs in there, have to tear out the whole thing and redo it, right? And this 12 by 12 cube, perfect. It sits right on the mesh. I cut maybe a 1/4 inch extra on the sides, and then boom, we're ready to go. Now, I use Josh's Frogs Leica balls for my false bottom for anything bigger than 10 inches. They're pretty big balls, but as you can see, they fill it up nicely, and this is what I want. Just a very thin layer. Like I said, it's probably not even going to be needed, but it looks good too. I actually like the look of it. Screen goes in, nice and perfect fit, and we're off to the races. Okay, I always put a little bit of dirt in to fix the corners first. And once the corners are down and the screen's not going anywhere, you can start dumping it in. It was a little challenging at first to see what I wanted. I like to put things in there before I decide what I want, at least with a terrarium like this. And once I got it in there, I started favoring that right side. My left side, but your right side viewing this. Because lava isopods are burrowers. And I thought I wanted it to be this woodsy landscape, almost like if you ever go hiking, you see where a storm had blown through and the trees are all falling down, but there's still some nice flora on the bottom. That was the kind of look that I was going to go for, because I knew I wanted this sphagnum moss to stay somewhat exposed with some leaf litter on top of it, which again looks like a storm blew through, knocked the trees down. So once I figured that out, watch, I'll start favoring that right side there. And it goes way up. Overall, as someone who loves to keep animals but can't keep getting new animals, bugs are the way to go. They're really cool. I love watching the isopods work, and they're simple. They eat decaying matter. So as long as, like I said, I'm going to spray that corner, the leaf litter will decay. I will at first supplement their diet with some bug burger, and they're going to be good to go. And put in some super easy plants, and you've got yourself a nice little ecosystem. Miniature cork barks. And then I can backfill around this and just have this little piece of cork bark, which is the stopper for the backfilled dirt here, the backfilled dirt's coming down, gonna hit this stopper. And really, it's just a piece of bark that's gonna decay because it's on the wet side. The sphagnum moss in this plant is gonna be the wet side. Most of the other area is gonna be dry. So I had this long piece of cork bark that I just broke in half. Sound effect, just for fun. But this is going to be the signature hardscape of the aquarium here. Terrarium, sorry. I didn't want to put any rocks because they're burrowers. I didn't want it to cave in on them. But they're going to be able to find lots of nooks and crannies here. This piece of cork bark has holes. And if it didn't, I could just pop a few holes in there because I like to watch them go in and out. Watching them come out of that hole or go in the hole, it's just fun. And again, placing them is easy because I wanted to look like that storm. I wanted the storm look, and then that plant on the left was like the first tree growing back, right? And then, of course, this moss I found outside. Now that it's spring here in New York, you can go outside and find any kind of moss you want. There's probably 6 different kinds of moss out there that are easily grabbed. And this like matte moss is real thick. As you can see, it's like 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick. I thought it'd be perfect for here because it grows on everything out here, whether it's dark or light or damp or not. It's pretty hardy. Now, the 2 blown down trees looked a little barren, so I wanted one more piece, and this little tunnel just came together perfectly. I think without that little tunnel, there's just something missing about this terrarium, and with it, it looks perfect. So I was happy. Time for leaf litter. I sped this part up because it took me a while. I put a lot of leaf litter in there. I mean, like I said, this is their food, and I wanted it to be plentiful. So the problem was it still looked a little barren to me. Now, I added a couple, sprigs to make it look like, again, some roots got uprooted and we're just hanging out there. Still needed something, though. I'm telling you, you can see it, right? Boom. Another little plant right there. This is, again, a hardy plant that I find will grow in arid conditions or wet conditions. All right, it was time for a spray down. And this is more of a spray down than I'll do normally. It's just I wanted to get everything soaked initially so it could start decaying. All right, so the critters are in. They're happy. They're crawling around. All that's left is the lid. I don't have the lid that it came with, so I have to cut this piece of acrylic to fit. Okay. I have just picked up this mini table saw. It's like for small projects, probably a little bit too small for this cut, but it worked. It worked pretty good, actually. I'll link to that in the notes. If you want that link, let me know in the comments, and I'll send it right over to you. And then once the acrylic was set, I just peeled off these sticky magnets and marked off where the magnets on the enclosure were, or are, rather. And stuck them right on. It was really the easiest thing I've ever done. I was dreading this part because I'm not a builder. I don't like to measure and cut things, but it worked out pretty well. Watch this. Sticks right on. And boom, we're done. We now have a lava pod world.